PDN News Updates. Here is Jarek Sablon from our PDN Newsroom. This is brought to you by our sponsor, KFC Guam.
Governor Lulian Guerrero joined 21 other governors from across the nation in filing with the U.S. Supreme Court an amicus curiae brief in support of abortion rights. Guam is a member of the Reproductive Freedom Alliance, which filed the brief on January 30th with the U.S. Supreme Court in the case of Food and Drug Administration et al. Versus Alliance for Hippocratic Medicine et al. The alliance, formed a year ago, is a nonpartisan coalition of 22 governors who are committed to protecting and expanding reproductive freedom in their respective jurisdictions, the brief states. The governor said access to reproductive choice is part of a full range of reproductive health care that should be available to all, including access to birth control, access to prenatal care, to mammograms and pap smears, and yes, access to abortion. 4 men armed with pipes, machetes, and baseball bats and allegedly damaged vehicles in Harmon early Saturday morning were arrested and charged with rioting and public drunkenness, according to a magistrate's report filed in Superior Court. Police approached, subdued, and arrested the men identified as Enjoy1 NG, Jamal Turno, Marsander Doan, Richie Emmanuel. They're charged with rioting as third-degree felony and public drunkenness, according to court documents. Governor Lulian Guerrero is proposing another record-high $1.26 billion budget for the government of Guam in fiscal 2025, as military construction spending ramps up and the island continues recovery from Typhoon Mawar and a COVID-19 spurred tourism slump. If enacted, the governor's budget proposal would be the third GovGuam budget north of $1 billion. It would also be the third consecutive increase in annual government spending since local tax revenue dipped during the pandemic. All told, the proposed fiscal 2025 budget is about $96 million more than the already record-high budget for the current fiscal year. Guam's economy is expected to continue expanding in the wake of the pandemic and Mawar, the governor wrote in her budget submission to the legislature. An average of 32 babies on Guam died before their first birthday each year between 2017 and 2021, according to a recent report from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. Infant mortality rates for the island during that 5-year period were nearly twice as high as the national average across the same period, based on numbers from the report and data from the National Vital Statistics System. Guam had a higher rate of infant mortality than any other state in 4 of those 5 years. In 2017, the island ranked only 6th highest between Tennessee and Alabama. In 2021, the worst year for infant mortality on the island, Guam saw 41 infant deaths. That's just 4 deaths less than what the state of Rhode Island recorded that year, with a population of over 1 million people and 4 times the number of births as Guam in 2021. And babies of certain ethnicities and income brackets are at a higher risk, the report found. Chuukese infants on Guam had a mortality rate nearly 3 times the national average, while Chamorro infants were nearly 5 times as likely to die before turning 1 compared to the average infant in the nation. Every morning, school bus shelters vandalized with all sorts of graffiti and with trash strewn around them greet students, residents, and visitors. On Monday morning, some military personnel cleaned up and repainted some of those problem bus shelters in the north, but there are still many others that are waiting for volunteers to give them some care. On Monday morning, while driving around Jigo, the Pacific Daily News chanced upon a group of Marines cleaning up and painting over some bus shelters outside the main gate of Marine Corps Base Camp Loss in Dededo. The painting was done to cover markings left behind by vandals, Community Liaison Coordinator Ryer Perez said, while Marines and others were adding fresh coats of paint to 2 bus stations. These newly cleaned and repainted bus stops are in stark contrast to the heavily vandalized and trash-stricken ones blocks away. For more of these stories, log on to GuamPDN.com and follow us on social media.
Tonight is now chicken night?
Oh, yes, it's chicken night. Talk about chicken night. Oh, yes, it's chicken night. Oh, what a night. Oh, what a night.
Make it a chicken night with KFC's $25 fill-up box.